Hello everyone and welcome to JoJolion chapter 87 review and discussion. And believe it or not, we are halfway through 2019 already. So happy summer everyone. It's getting hot where I live. I'm already breaking a sweat this video. So halfway through the year and halfway through this year's JoJolion content, which sounds even more ridiculous because it feels like we've made like no progress this year whatsoever. But I mean, we had the whole, this year started with chapter 83, which was the whole cast regrouping after the Wutomaki fight in the hospital. And I believe that chapter was Countdown to the Harvest, and it kickstarted us into like this current arc. It's like we're having mini arcs inside of a big arc right now. So what we're in right now is the Countdown to the Harvest, and we started like 7 days or something. And I think we're like 3 or 4 days in right now. And so like we're having the Head Doctor arc, and then this Ojiro arc, and all these are sort of encapsulated within this countdown. So it does feel like we've made like pretty substantial progress this year, although we were on hiatus on February, so we're in June right now, but we only actually had 5 chapters this month, and I think 3 or 4 of them were the Head Doctor arc. And like the fact that Ojiro's back, I know we made a big deal about it last month, but it's going to be an even bigger deal this month because I thought like he maybe wasn't going to be a key player, or maybe he was just going to be like shown there and not have a whole arc dedicated to him, but have like an interaction with the main cast or interject in the story in some way. But no, like Ojiro is getting like his own arc, and it's like almost set up in a villain versus villain arc. But the thing is, we'll get more into it later in the chapter, but it's like Ojiro doesn't seem like very villainous in this chapter right here. I almost like him. Ojiro with his new personality is like an extremely likable character. So to start off the chapter, the cover page is a profile of Ojiro, age 23. It shows his new outfit, and it says that he's unmarried, he's a surfer, and he's dating the single mother Makurin, which was a parent of one of the children that go to Tsurugi's school, or I believe Makurin was a faculty member at Tsurugi's school, because she was the whole one that was like, Mitsuba called my hand a forepaw, like I hate that bitch now. That's the whole thing with her, and that's how we were introduced to Ojiro at the end of last chapter. He was hanging out with Makurin, and they were talking shit about the Higashikata family, and that's what like sparked the whole idea that brought Ojiro back into the story, because he's like, Higashikata family had like some sort of correlation to Kiriyoshikage, who I was a friend with, and he started talking about equivalent exchange, and there's a fruit that could do this that was like in an island in the south, and that's sort of like that one thing that Makurin talked about sort of reignited his idea. And like now this whole chapter is pretty much Ojiro wants to get the fruit now. If there's already so many people in JoJolion that wanted the fruit, Josuke wants the fruit, the doctors want the fruit, Jobin wants the fruit, and even Kyo Nijimura wants the fruit. If you guys remember from way earlier in the part, Kyo Nijimura, one of her motives that she stated was like, I gotta get my hands on that Rokakaka, although she hasn't done like anything working towards that in like 70 chapters. So everyone wants the fruit now, and we're even now Ojiro is going to be introduced as like another party that wants it, which is so crazy. Imagine this, guys. If someone asked you in January of this year, brand new year, exciting stuff for JoJolion. If someone asked you, where do you see JoJolion in 6 months? I would have said maybe at a climax, maybe an introduction of the main villain, maybe a fight against Jobin and Josuke, or just a rock human. No one could have predicted that Ojiro would be coming back in the most casual manner possible and just getting his own arc. And like in this chapter, he's like the protagonist of the series. But I have no complaints. I really was nervous at the end of last chapter. It's like, okay, I want JoJolion to get really exciting, and I want it to have like this big epic climax similar to like the likes of Funny Valentine versus Johnny and the big epic finale of Steel Ball Run. But with JoJolion, we're getting so far into the part, and it's like that. Like I got binoculars on right now. I don't see that coming anywhere. Don't even know who the main villain is yet, but honestly, with JoJolion, I really like how Araki's taking his time with it, and it seems like things are very thought out. Like the way he's bringing Ojiro back and the way he's mentioning things that he hasn't mentioned in a long time with the walleyes. So let's try to enjoy JoJolion as much as possible, because we're probably going to miss it once it's finished. Unless Araki does a part 9, knock on wood, fingers crossed, please God, Araki, make a part 9. But with this chapter right here, there wasn't any progression towards like the big epic finale, but I was having fun when I was reading this, which is something like, it was a feeling that I haven't felt in a while reading JoJolion, because like the last couple chapters, pretty much all the chapters this year were like really intense, like chasing down the Head Doctor, Tsurugi's doing like really evil shit, what's going on with Tsurugi? They were all had like a real tension to them. But this chapter was just like, dude, Ojiro is a really fun character. He's really likable, and with his new personality, he is just, he's really cool. I like him. He's hot. He's trash. I like him. So to get into like what I'm talking about when I say new personality, it says, so when Kira Yoshikage, let's get into the chapter, by the way, the cover page, we get like the character profile for him. And it's also interesting, he's at the baseball field, which was in 15 chapters ago, something like that, when we got the flashback of Jobun with Norisuke at the baseball game, and we had all the rock humans there. This looks like it's the same baseball field, and he's just standing like in the middle of it. And there's also some cool advertisements in the background. The only one I really recognize is the Osen shop, which is like a trademark of part 4. And we might have saw Osen in part 8. I can't remember. If we did, it was probably really early on. And also we just have the Morioh Town logo. So this character profile says Ojiro, age 23, and then we have more on his personality, and it's pointing to his fingers, because when Kira asked him when they were like friends, he said, are you a man of the sea or are you a man of the land? Like, you got to make a decision. For whatever reason, that question, I still don't really understand the metaphorical significance of that question. I don't know if that's supposed to represent something within JoJolion. Are you a man of the sea or are you a man of the land? That was really emphasized last chapter and is repeated again here. I don't really get that one. I don't know what that means. I should be on top of this, but I'm not seeing the metaphor here, Rocky. And the reason why Ojiro has like no fingers is because he was so hung up on that question. He bit his fingers, gave him like a mental disorder, and he bit him all the way to the second joint. So not this knuckle, but this knuckle right here. So all this, boom, all this was gone, and that's why he wears the prosthesis. But even though he has no fingers still, he saw like a new perspective, and maybe he did make a decision if he's a man of the sea or a man of the land. So he didn't have to like be existing in between the two and not have an identity. Maybe he found his identity, and that's why he's such a different person when he's reintroduced, and he's just a lot cooler, the way he speaks, his mannerisms. We'll get into it later in the chapter, but he's just a cool guy. And also we have the stand fun, fun, fun. And for some reason it's pointing to like his legs, but I don't remember fun, fun, fun being strictly bound to like the feet or anything like that. But the way that fun, 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 I guess we can get into it now. So fun, 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 if anyone forgets, the first stand user we fought in part 8. The way it works is that the stand can control your limbs if you have an injury, but Ojiro can only control you if he's directly above you. I know, it's like a card effect on a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's so specific. So and it says like it best works if you're in like an apartment building. So in the first time we saw fun, fun, fun used, Josuke and Yasuo broke into Kira Yoshikage's apartment, and Ojiro was above them, and he like booby-trapped the entire apartment. So like, for example, Josuke reaches into a drawer, his hand gets cut, fun, fun, fun controls this limb. And if he controls all 4 of your limbs, both hands and both feet, he has full control over your entire body. So that's the gist of fun, fun, fun. And of course, also Ojiro needs to be above you. Oddly specific. It was in one of the worst stands in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure video because it was so specific, but in this chapter, we see that it's a little bit different. It seems to have maybe a bit of an upgrade, and maybe Ojiro has been more smart in the way he uses it. So to finally get into the actual chapter here, we see Ojiro sort of, scouting out the Higashikata fruit parlor, and I think this is like the first time, maybe the second time that we've seen the fruit parlor where it is from the outside. It looks like it's in like a sort of an outdoor mall. You have other places like the Morioh Arcade and other just like, I guess, locally owned businesses around the place. And Ojiro has this really weird quirk this chapter, where trash like follows him around, or he's just like really messy and he's throwing trash everywhere. So you see him right here, he's actually eating gelato that he got at the fruit parlor, and then he goes outside the fruit parlor and starts recording it with his phone. So you see he has like a candy bar, whatever those things are, Pocky, like the little chocolate sticks. He has chips, water bottles, soda, ramen, and people are like, he's out there just like a bum, and people are like, dude, can you pick up your trash? Like, you're starting to smell. And so he puts it all in a bag, and he does this weird thing where he throws the bag, and then he takes a piece of gum out of his mouth and throws it at this lady's luggage, and it sticks together, and it's just like, I get that's just Ojiro's quirk. Characters in JoJo sometimes have like one quirk that is like very recognizable and like sets them apart from everyone else. I guess Ojiro's no quirk, besides that he's like super muscular now and really hot, is that trash follows him around, or he's really messy and he's always trashy. But getting into the second scene of the chapter, which holds a lot more significance, we see Tsurugi sleeping on a fountain somewhere in Morioh, and he fell asleep and he's dreaming of when the orchard was on fire and how he's keeping this secret from his whole family, and he's working together with his dad, and he doesn't really know where his dad morally aligns, if he's right or wrong. So maybe this is like hung up on Tsurugi's mind and he's even thinking about it. And then when Tsurugi awakes, we see his ability changing in some way. We saw the whole, monologue that was, I believe, in the first chapter of the year here, which was chapter 83, how Araki said, when a person has a change in heart, there can also be a change in stand ability. And we saw that whole scene where Norisuke was in a body bag and being carried out by Tsurugi. And so, it was implying that Tsurugi's stand will change in some way. And the way I see it in this chapter is that because of Tsurugi's paper moon cane and the way it works, it can pretty much explain like any situation. Because like it's pretty much if you touch the paper moon cane, Tsurugi can make you see really whatever you want. And when it was first introduced, it was like it can make everyone's faces the same, but that was like totally retconned because then he turned like he made a bust look like Jobin. So then Doobie-Wa's user like ran up and was like Jobin, 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 but there was a bust that hit him. So it's like it's not the faces thing anymore. If you touch Paper Moon Cane, Tsurugi can pretty much make you see whatever it wants you to see, which is really damn powerful, completely messing with perception. But it looks like that Paper Moon Cane has gone completely rogue. It's like completely uncontrollable. So when Tsurugi's sleeping there's a little baby that comes over and tries to touch the origami, and it wakes Tsurugi up, and he's like, no, do not touch that origami, as in he knows that there's something wrong with him, and he knows that he can't control his stand, or his stand is working in a much more malicious way. So we don't directly see the baby touch the paper, but Tsurugi is like really freaked out here, and he's like, it's not my fault, and runs away. That's pretty much the gist of what he says, because he knows that baby is going to get hurt in some way. So I assume that it's so weird though, because we didn't even see the lady touch Paper Moon Cane, and the lady thought she was looking at her baby, and she was like, oh, it's fine, you're not a girl, you're a boy, the whole like Tsurugi thing. But then the woman sees that her hands are empty and her baby is face down in the fountain behind her, which is like, how did that situation come to be with Paper Moon Cane? The woman didn't touch the origami, and we didn't even see the baby touch the origami, as well as the origami was working uncontrollably from Tsurugi, and Tsurugi knew that it was super dangerous. So Paper Moon Cane is doing something weird, and it's getting a new ability that is working like it's much more malicious, and it's sort of like it's doing dangerous things without Tsurugi's consent. And we'll see it used again later in the chapter, which is like, it's so hard to even speculate what this could be because of how just sudden the ability activates. But while Tsurugi is running away, we see something that I personally have been waiting to see for this entire chapter, and Tsurugi's face starts to melt, and he says that he's getting sick and he's being affected by the rock disease. And at first I was like, oh my god, is this like finally happening? Is Tsurugi finally being inflicted by the rock disease? I always thought, I made a discussion video maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, that I always thought that I thought there's not a lot of things we know for sure in JoJolion, but if one thing is certain, it's that Tsurugi will get sick in the part, and someone will have to make a sacrifice for him. Because when JoJolion started, Tsurugi was 9 years old, I think, and the rock disease is supposed to affect you when you're like 10. So I was like, okay, we're so close to Tsurugi being infected by the rock disease. Wouldn't it just feel weird if the part ended like whatever, a month before Tsurugi is supposed to be affected by the rock disease? So JoJolion ends and we're just left to speculate like, well, who's going to sacrifice themselves for Tsurugi? Is it going to be Jobin? Is it going to be Norisuke? Is it going to be Kato? Is it going to be Mitsuba? So if one thing is going to happen in JoJolion that we know for sure, I think the one thing that's certain is that Tsurugi will be affected by his disease and someone will make a sacrifice to save him. But the more I was looking at this chapter, it's like, I don't think this is the rock disease, because the way you see Tsurugi's face like melting and then it goes back to normal, and like no one that's ever been affected by the rock disease that we've seen has it activated in that way. It usually like makes your skin all flaky and turns you to stone. And it's like the way that the things that are happening to Tsurugi right now are just like, it's gonna be a twist or it's gonna be a surprise that's revealed later. So he's having these like blackouts, and we see he explains this as well. He's like, are these effects of the rock disease? I'm blacking out, and when I wake up my stand is doing like terrible things, because he blacked out at the fountain, and then when he woke up he affected that child in some way, and maybe even killed the baby. And if he killed that baby, that would be the third baby Araki has killed in JoJolion. Yeah, Araki's pretty fucked up this chapter, or this part. So the first one was in the Blue Hawaii arc. The second one was Mitsuba's unborn baby, but then it went back to normal, I believe. And then this would be the third baby Araki killed in JoJolion. Come on, Araki, man, what's wrong with you? But we see that Tsurugi's talking about like, I have these like blackouts, and he also says that when he was at school, when we originally thought that Tsurugi was like mad at those children for making fun of him because of his grandma's a child killer, but it turns out that Tsurugi just blacked out, and then when he woke up, that child was like, crushed in between the gates, and Tsurugi's like, well, I don't know how that happened. So Tsurugi's blacking out, doing bad things, his stand is changing in some way, and we also can't forget that at the school, when that girl was crushed in between the gates, the head doctor was also there. So it's like, it's getting pretty crazy right now. There's so many different threads and strains that should, I hope, eventually be tied together. And Tsurugi is just like a giant mystery right now. I think Tsurugi is one of the, as I said back in like chapter 50 of JoJolion, I said that Tsurugi is the most important character in JoJolion. And like, if there's anything I predicted in JoJolion, it's that about Tsurugi. I always knew Tsurugi was going to be a very important character, whether one way or the other. But it turns out that his character is taking a turn I didn't directly see, but I knew he's going to be important in some way. And I thought it was because of the rock disease. So yeah, I don't know. Can any of you guys make sense of that? I don't even think it's worth it because we'll see in a few months, a few years, how this is all going to come together. And it just seems too confusing right now because it's like, you know, I thought that the head doctor was going to be sort of like leading up to the climax, but then we're just like completely done with the head doctor. We don't see Josuke or Mamazuku once in this entire chapter, and we're just focused on like Ojiro. So like, how is Ojiro and Tsurugi's infliction of whatever disease he has right now? Maybe not rock disease. Maybe he's being affected by a stand or just something completely different. And like, my brain's swirling right now. I don't know how Araki's going to tie this together, especially with Ojiro coming back, but hopefully he has something in mind. So to continue on the actual chapter, when Tsurugi runs away after he believes he's being infected by the rock disease, he's running towards the Higashikata home and like sort of up a steep hill, and he is confronted by Ojiro, who was again before investigating the Higashikata fruit parlor, and then he decided to investigate their home itself. And we also see his motive here. So again, like we mentioned earlier, the woman that he's dating, Mako Rin, I think her name was, mentioned the Higashikata family, and then that sparked the idea in his head to go check out this fruit that has equivalent exchange properties. We don't exactly know why he wants it. It's probably to fix his fingertips. If it's not his fingertips, it could be money or something for Mako Rin or something even more grand that would make him a more important character than I think he is right now. So for one reason or the other, Ojiro wants his hands on the Rokakaka. And just in like a day or so from him looking into how this whole thing's operating, he found out that the Damo Tamaki dry cleaners and the Higashikata fruit parlor are both a front for money laundering, which even I forgot about Damo Tamaki dry cleaners, which I believe was mentioned in Damo's arc or before or after, or maybe even in the flashback. But yeah, Damo Tamaki had a dry cleaning business, which didn't really get a lot of business, but it was pretty much only used to launder money for the Rokakaka drug trade. And I was also surprised that the Higashikata fruit parlor is as well, because I thought Norisuke had like most control over the fruit parlor, but I guess it was Jobin, who I guess has some proprietary share in the fruit parlor if he owns like whatever half of it, or maybe he's like a executive manager, COO, like underneath Norisuke. But for whatever reason, Jobin has also, or we know the reason, but Jobin has also been using the fruit parlor to launder money. And I love how in just like one day, one afternoon, Ojiro just dug all this up and he's like, hey, like, I know that you're like smuggling these illegal fruits, or not directly, or Tsurugi directly, but he's like, I know that your dad is, and if you don't get me to meet with Jobin, you know, I'll go to the police, I'll go to the IRS, and I'll completely screw this whole thing up. So, but the way he was talking, he was really friendly to Tsurugi. And like this scene right here, when he's talking to Tsurugi, made me think like, dude, Ojiro's a pretty cool guy. Like he is coming off just like super likable this chapter, but nearing sort of the end of their conversation, he gets more threatening, and he's like, you know, I'll send your dad to prison if you don't let me meet with him. And then we see Tsurugi's ability activate for the second time this chapter. And this one is even more strange than the last one. It's just like, it's almost like a time skip. It's like he switched places with Tsurugi. So he's coming after Tsurugi, and Tsurugi is walking backwards as he approaches him, and then out of nowhere, it's just like in one like panel flip, Ojiro, who was in front of Tsurugi, is now behind Tsurugi and falling off the cliff, holding onto a branch, and Tsurugi's in front of him. Like, we didn't see anything that alluded to like any movement or any stand ability being used. It's just boom, they just switch places, and it's I hate using that term. I know we did time skip to explain like the head doctor stand, but yeah, it's just really weird how they just switch places or something happened. But actually, I lied when I said there was no alluding to a stand ability. There is, because after we see Ojiro hanging onto the tree branch, we see Paper Moon Cane, like we saw Paper Moon Cane before at the fountain. So Paper Moon Cane, like 100% has a new ability. I don't know what it's doing, or it's like uncontrollably using its original ability in a more malicious way, like making Ojiro think that what he was looking at, like maybe Tsurugi was actually the tree. So when he was approaching Tsurugi, he was walking up and up the tree, so then it makes sense how he was hanging on at the end. But then again, we didn't see him touch Paper Moon Cane, and he only touched Tsurugi once. I don't know. Because you have to step on Paper Moon Cane for it to activate. And like, it's hard to imply that a stand is being used when we didn't see its activation trigger. So yeah, I don't think that this is just Paper Moon Cane. I definitely think it's an evolution of it in some way, especially after seeing what happened with the baby at the fountain. So Tsurugi's freaking out. Ojiro's hanging off the tree, and his prosthesis fingers, the prosthetics, are falling off, so he can't really hang on. But then we see that Tsurugi ran back to the Higashikata home, and he's having like another blackout. So this happens every time he uses his ability, he blacks out in some way. It happened at the fountain, except it was before his ability was used. Or his ability was actually being used while he was sleeping. Because as he woke up, Paper Moon King was going sort of AWOL, was going rogue on him. So after he sort of thinks he kills Ojiro or something, he runs back to the home, he jumps on the couch, and he starts to sleep. And then he's confronted by Jobin, and Jobin's like, Tsurugi, what are you doing? And Tsurugi explains everything with Ojiro, that there's this man who threatened me, he knows about the fruit, he knows about everything. And then, Jobin's on high alert now. Jobin's like, okay, so someone knows. I don't believe he knows who Ojiro was, and even if he does know Ojiro, it wouldn't make sense why he does. Okay, he says right here, Ojiro, I've never heard of that name before. But now we get into the final pages of the chapter, and this was like the coolest moment in the chapter for me, because we see fun being used again, a stand that hasn't been in the series in what, like 84 chapters or something like that. Like, it's so weird. Seriously, the first stand ever in the part, this was like 7 years ago, is now making its return, and I love how Araki's like, it's back, and it's like I don't know if the ability is slightly changed in some way, or Araki is just or he doesn't like really remember how it originally worked. So like I mentioned like way earlier in the video, it was set up so you needed to be wounded first, but also it could be explained because Ojiro has a newer personality, or like he has a new outlook on life. Maybe fun changed in some way. So the first time we see fun used is that when Jobin is making sure that the new Rokakaka is safe, Tsurugi is holding a phone, and Jobin's like, what is that mark on your hand, and why are you recording? And so, like, Ojiro has taken control of Tsurugi's left hand, and it's really smart that he did this. So, and also we saw that someone like broke into the Higashikata home, and there was like a footprint like leading in from their back patio or something. And I don't think that was Ojiro. I think that was fun, because fun did have like not a humanoid appearance, but like a creature appearance. I'll throw it up on screen if you guys don't remember, but it was pretty weird looking. So maybe that could have been like fun that walked in, or it was Ojiro that made like 2 footprints and then walked up to the roof to sort of distract them in some way. But the one thing about fun is that, and that's going to be annoying saying fun every 20 seconds, is that the stand didn't injure Tsurugi in any way. Tsurugi wasn't injured, and before you saw in the moment when Tsurugi and Ojiro first like encountered each other, Ojiro touched Tsurugi's hand, but it was Tsurugi's right hand, and he's controlling her left hand. So at first I was like, well, maybe when Ojiro touched Tsurugi's hand, he activated fun that way, and that's the way it works now. But they never made contact, and Tsurugi was never injured, but somehow fun is controlling his left hand. Unless it was like really subtle in this chapter, and I missed it, and Tsurugi like pricked his finger on like a cactus or something. But from what I can see, Tsurugi's finger was not injured at all, unless it happened maybe while he's sleeping. But yeah, from now, it looks like fun can just control a person's hand without having to injure them first. And also, I really love the way that fun is being used. It's so smart on Ojiro's part, because he is making Tsurugi hold a phone that's sending a live video feed to Ojiro's phone, who's on the roof, and then Ojiro is sending pictures of the live video feed to Makorin, which we'll get into later, why it doesn't make sense at all why Makorin is involved in this. But runny nose, allergies, sunny outside, windows open. Okay, so Jobin is now aware that they're being affected by a stand ability. He saw the mark, and he's like, Tsurugi, stop recording. Like, what are you doing recording us? And Tsurugi's like, I can't. And Jobin's like, okay, this is a stand ability. And then we see Ojiro on the roof, and you see the trash around him. Remember how I mentioned earlier in the chapter review how it's like trash follows him around? And as you see on the roof of the Higashikata home, like, it's not even like he has snacks around him where he's just like posted up in one area. It's like there's an actual trail of trash following him. And earlier in the chapter, there was a little narration that said 100% trash. So there's so many things about Ojiro that I feel like are metaphoric or symbolic that I don't really get. Like, what's up with the trash? What is up with the man? Are you a man of the sea or a man of the land? I don't know. Maybe this is something we can look back on in a few years and be like, oh, like, and then it triggers. And it's like, oh, this is a reference to this, or this was symbolizing this in some way, which is always exciting to go back and reread and notice things you didn't notice on your first read through. So getting into Makorin, what Makorin has to do with this at all is really confusing, because it's like Ojiro is working with Makorin, who is the faculty member at Tsurugi's school, and he's like, Makorin, they have the fruit. I'm sending you pictures right now. And this is where I'm questioning, are these guys just like getting involved and they don't, sort of like Team Rocket in a way? Like they just get involved and mess shit up, and we know they're not too serious and they'll be dealt with in an episode or two. Or maybe they're in this for like a more serious way, and Makurin is a more important character than we think. But right now, I think it's more surface level, and Makurin genuinely is just really upset that Mitsuba called her hand a forepaw, and she wants to get back at her at some way. So she was dating Ojiro, and Ojiro was connected to the Higashikata family through Yoshikage Kira. So he was like, hey, I found out that they're like laundering money, and we can send Jobin and we can send people in their family to jail for a long time. Like this would be the perfect payback. So I feel like Ojiro definitely wants the fruit, but he also wants to please Makurin, who is his girlfriend right now, who is also a single mom, and, sort of mess with the Higashikata family and mess their life up because Mitsuba called her hand a forepaw. So it's like, maybe Makurin is like more into this than we know, and she knows what the Rokakaka is, but for what we have right now, it doesn't seem likely. And the chapter ends off with Tsurugi and Jobin sort of panicking and being like, okay, we can't talk, we can't really do anything, we're being videotaped right now, and it's sending a live feed to someone that we don't know, and it could be really anyone. But like, I feel like Jobin is freaking out more than he has to, because it's like, it's just Ojiro and his girlfriend. Like, it's not like the head doctor or someone like that could be like really powerful that wants to do something even worse than like Ojiro. So it's kind of funny how Jobin's like, holy shit, what the fuck is happening? But it's just Ojiro. But then again, there's also a piece of dialogue at the end of the chapter that says freakishly powerful. And I don't know if that's implying that fun is now freakishly powerful, or it had some power up in some way, but something is freakishly powerful. I don't think it's fun, because really, what is fun doing right now? It's only controlling Tsurugi's left arm. So what can he do? He can leave. He has feet still. So his feet aren't controlled by fun, at least what we know right now. So if they wanted to, they could just get up and walk away, and he's only right above them. So, it wouldn't be that hard for Jobin and, Tsurugi, with Tsurugi's new powerful ability, to go find Ojiro, who's on the roof, see his cell phone, see who he sent the message to, track down Makurin, and then deal with her. So right now, Ojiro doesn't seem like that big of a threat, but I don't know what was the point of this chapter, and what was the point of Ojiro back in the story? I'm sure it will be, I'm sure this will tie in some way or be its own like sub little mini arc, but honestly, I know some people might be upset by Ojiro taking up precious time of JoJolion when we could be doing main doctor stuff or like head doctor, but I really enjoyed this chapter, and I thought Ojiro was a great new addition and a great surprise to JoJolion. Just I like how Araki redrew him. I had a tweet a few weeks ago that was like every character in JoJolion had like a massive glow up. If you look at Jobin and Mitsuba in the beginning chapters to now, and like even Ojiro completely changed. He's way bulkier now, and just everything. He looks like he has a better skin complexion as well. And yeah, I'm really happy Ojiro's back. At first I was like, what the fuck, Araki? And now I'm like, hell yeah, Araki, I'm liking this. So honestly, I'm fine if we take a month or two, maybe 3 months off of Josuke and Mamazuku shenanigans, and we just see what Ojiro's up to. I know some people might be like, well, we're getting another stand arc of stands we've already seen because, we know what Speed Cane does. We know what Fun does. The only sort of variable in this arc that is unknown is Tsurugi's new ability, and if maybe Tsurugi will black out again and use his stand in some way to defeat Ojiro. But then this could also be an opportunity to set up the big explanation for what everyone's been wondering is Speed Cane. Like what is Speed Cane's new ability going to be? Because I think what was this, 50 chapters ago something, when Speed Cane was sort of relevant, there was that piece of dialogue that said not even Jobin knows the stand's true potential, or something like the stand's true nature is yet to be revealed. So for a while now, a lot of people theorized that Speed Cane has ability that no one's ever seen before, and the stand would go through an evolution in some way. Me personally, the stands in JoJolion are really simple, and some of them have really weak abilities, and for me, Speed Cane felt like right where it needed to be in JoJolion. So I could see Speed Cane gain a power up and maybe revealing a new ability, but at the same time, I think Speed Cane is just as powerful as it should be. Fitting in the world of JoJolion. I don't think it's too weak. I don't think it's too powerful, and I think it's like a perfect stand to get creative in an arc. But I'm excited to see Speed Cane. Who'd have thought we'd see Speed Cane versus Fun, if that is what's going to happen. But it looks like it will. But that's just Jesus Christ, this truly is a bizarre adventure. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching JoJolion Chapter 87 review and discussion. Let me know what you guys thought about this chapter and Ojiro's return in the comments down below. And also, one more thing, this is going to be the last chapter review we record in this room here. I know, if you guys have been watching my JoJolion reviews, since I started doing them, and also if you guys are just like long-time watchers as well, this shows just how long we've been reviewing JoJolion and how long it's been going on. Because once I move, which is going to be in a few days here, it's going to be the third, like, house that I've recorded JoJolion in. We started the reviews off in my parents' place when I was still living at home, and then just about a year ago, in July last year, we moved into this place and we got the reviews going. And now I'm going, this is the biggest move I've done. Yeah, I'm moving to a different state. I currently live in New York, but I'm moving to Pennsylvania. But yeah, that's going to be JoJolion Chapter 87 review and discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on JoJolion and everything going on with the part right now. And if you liked Ojiro's return or not, down below. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.